Hey, everybody. Welcome to Women Atheist Unload, the show by women for women. So grab your snacks and a drink and get ready. We're about to get unloaded.
I know you told your friend you're not okay. And tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us on this Saturday, early evening for some or late afternoon for others. I want to welcome my co host, Alma. How are you doing today, Alma?
Hey, I am good. Thank you so much for having me here for this
Very
important topic. Thank you.
absolutely. And Maya, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Hoping my microphone holds up because you guys were saying you couldn't hear me earlier. So,
Well, so far, so good. So, thank you guys both so much for joining with.
all
This is
right.
such an important topic of discussion today. We're talking about Florida and the abortion ban. We've had other shows on here on Skeptic Haven about abortion and how uh, the current laws that are being passed are so incredibly dangerous. And now in Florida, it's the Supreme Court. It has been hearing arguments all through September. So to get started, first of all, how do you guys feel about the abortion bans that we've been having across the country?
Well,
Oh, Alma, you can go
okay.
first.
I think it's endangering people actually because people think that they just are going to get an abortion just for any reason, like something to do, like something that is not serious, and is that kind of um, thought is very dangerous because people needs to have access to healthcare, and we shouldn't meddle on those reasons, even if there is for a selfish reason. Whatever. I don't think that we should meddle on the decisions of a person does with their own body.
Absolutely. And Maya, what about you?
No, very similar. I was raised Catholic, and a lot of my family is still uh, pretty strongly like hold very conservative beliefs. And I know that when I talk to them, it's just, oh well, I understand that sometimes there should be cases for rape or incest, or when there's a medical issue, meaning the baby's not viable, or it was like a true mistake and the woman can't carry a pregnancy to term and live herself. And so most of the people I know aren't crazy fanatics where they'll say, well, it was God's will if she didn't make it through. So thankfully I don't know any of those people, although I hear about them and they make me cringe. What I mostly hear from people is, oh well, those people should be able to do that, but I don't think it should be used for birth control. And I think the point that we're missing out on is you can't tell who's who, right? You have to just kind of let adults be adults. And if you're having a moral issue with it, then one, you don't get an abortion. Ta-da! And two, it's really between them and their God. There's absolutely no reason for an adult to feel like they have to make medical decisions for other adults, whether it's abortion or any other issue. So it's just insanely it's infuriating. I think is the best way I can say it, because we are willing to let women die and be in medical positions where I wanted a child. And because of this law, I couldn't have the child that I wanted. And it scarred me so badly that my body can never have another child, which I still want. And there's so many women out that are going to be left in that position.
Mm-hmm.
For what? We are killing more lives than we are saving. I mean, at some point, you've got to face facts, and this is a stupid law.
Right. I completely agree. So one thing I was reading from the ACLU, they showed that in Florida, and I'm just going to read what it says in the article. In one circumstance, a woman whose water broke at 18 weeks of pregnancy nearly died of sepsis after being forced to wait for life-saving care. While she knew that her child would not survive and that continuing the pregnancy put her life at risk, she was sent home to wait until her condition was so dangerous that a doctor could induce labor without violating the state's law. This is where we get. This
Yeah,
is
and
where we get.
sorry. Yeah. Yeah, and there's actually 3 women in Texas suing Governor Abbott because they were in that same position in Texas. And this is what I'm talking about. Like, you can't, you're trying to legislate sluts. I'm sorry, forgive the term. But I mean, I think that's what people think. It's just like, there's these girls who, had, they got drunk and they had a bad night, and it's just like, oh no, like, I don't want to have a baby, even though I could. And, we're saving this child. But, what I say to people all the time is, okay, most women, like, I want to say it's over 70% of the women who are having babies already have children. This is an excruciating, or I'm sorry, or having abortions, sorry, already have other children. So it's not that they just arbitrarily don't want a child. They can't afford it. And so we're not putting, we're killing women who want children. And for the women who can't afford them, we're forcing children into a situation where there's a family that doesn't want them and can't afford them.
Mm-hmm.
And to arbitrarily say, well, oh, they could just give it up for abortion is usually what I hear.
Or adoption?
They're not. They're just not. So, again, we got to come back and face facts. Like, this is what is happening. We have to deal with reality and not what you would like to see or what you read in your book.
Right.
Yeah.
Alma?
And I think most of people are inadvertently saying the quiet part out loud, because they keep saying, "Oh, uh, you ended up pregnant because you didn't do what the Lord said that you should be doing, like having a husband and blah blah blah." And most of what I hear on the discourse is that they're saying that all the women that are looking for an abortion is because they're just easy women that sleep with anybody and then ended up pregnant with them.
Yep.
But saying this, even if I say, okay, you think that, so do you think that selfish women that doesn't even care or doesn't take care about herself should care, should be in charge of a baby?
Right.
Yeah,
Even if that
exactly.
was the case, like,
Right.
oh,
Well, there's a couple things that have
Yeah,
always
no, and
struck
you'll hear,
me as
right?
ridiculous. One is that if we use this as a form of birth control, let's just use that argument. Women using it as a form of birth
yeah,
control. It's extremely expensive, and it's
Yeah,
traumatizing. It's far. I mean, if you just you know use birth control pills or the Depo-Provera shot or I don't know if Norplant is still around or not, but anyway, using those type of things, that is less expensive and less potentially traumatizing than an abortion.
mm-hmm,
Um, it's the problem is that a lot of women don't have access to affordable birth control anymore. If you are working for the wrong company, it may not be included in your health insurance. There's all these different things. They're
yeah,
putting uh, boundaries around allowing women to have any control over their body because it's not
yeah,
just it's not just the abortion, it's the abortion issue, it's birth control issue.
right.
And let's be
mm-hmm,
frank, you keep women pregnant and you limit their ability to be independent. You severely
Yeah,
limit it. So that's the
yeah,
first thing. The second thing is that when women when women if a woman doesn't want to have a baby, you guys, both of you had mentioned about bringing a baby into a home where the baby is not wanted. um,
Mhm.
I work with abused children. I can tell
Yeah.
you that if a child is it goes into the wrong home,
Hmm.
it, there's so much damage that can be done to that child, and also to the family itself.
Yes.
And giving up for adoption, my goodness, we have more kids than there are homes right now.
Yes.
We have a
Yes.
huge amount of kids in the foster
Right
care
now.
system, to the point we don't even have enough foster parents.
Hmm.
So
Right.
you want to add more to that? I mean, all of the excuses that are given, when you actually look at them, they don't hold up. They don't hold up to scrutiny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking to a social worker, and she was saying that probably 80 to 90% of the people taking foster parent classes were family members who pretty much already had a child placed in their home, like a, cousin, nephew, whatever. And they needed to do whatever through the foster care system to ensure that they were
Hmm.
getting, the money to be able to afford an extra mouth.
Hmm.
Um, it it's insane what is going on right now. And there's oh man, there's something else you were saying, and I was just thinking about that too. We have a lot of states that are trying to make abortion either illegal or more difficult. There's more than Florida with the 6-week ban, but they're not doing other things on the long end. So we're not putting, more money into schools. We're not putting more money into, healthcare or WIC or, any of the things that parents would need to make the decisions to keep their babies or, to raise healthy families. It's just, you know,
Yeah.
um, legislation and bootstraps.
Mm,
Yes. That
absolutely.
is another point that you just remind me that most of the people who are begging to stop abortion and stuff like that, they are also against the things that could help families to have more kids. Like, oh no,
Mm-hmm.
no, I don't want kids having free lunches on my dime. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want free childcare
Mm-hmm.
who they think they are. I don't know. I have heard those kind of comments on online saying, "Oh, why should I
Mm-hmm.
pay for other people's mistakes?"
Right. Right.
Right.
But when they have abortions, nobody else pays for that. It's just the
Right.
woman. So, like, you could just mind your own business and
Exactly.
let people take care of themselves. This is ridiculous.
Yep, absolutely. You're so right. There it has always been a move to eliminate those social programs. They call them welfare. I call them social safety nets. That's what
Exactly.
I call them. And we do that because throughout history we have seen that if we don't have those social safety nets in place, then we end up with devastating results where people
Yes.
Hmm.
literally die. They die in large
Hmm.
numbers. I mean, you look at what happened during the Great Depression, and we have had in our lifetimes an economic crisis that was even worse than the Great Depression. But
Hmm.
we had
Hmm.
social safety
Yeah.
nets in place,
Hmm.
and so we didn't feel it as badly as they did back in those days.
Right.
So you know and I bring that up not because this is a topic of economic security, but it is in a
Should
sense
be.
because
Yeah.
if you have kids who are having babies, or women who are having these unwanted babies or whatever else, and they don't have the ability to take care of them, to afford them, and you're cutting away any kind of program because, by gosh, we can't pay for someone else's mistake. My gosh, I mean, what are you do you not care about that child? You want the child born, but you don't care that it's
Yeah.
starving
Yeah.
or potentially
Yeah.
in some really bad situations, homeless or whatever else. I mean, come on now. We have to figure this out, either which
Well,
way.
yeah, we're assuming that people want the best things for other people, and the people who are pushing, at least American politicians, to make these decisions want the best thing for themselves. We're talking about a group, like who are the groups that are paying Congress to make our lives all? These are religious fanatics who think that women have too much independence being at work. They need to be indebted. Like we need to go back to before birth control, when no one would hire a woman because we had no control over our reproductive rights. You, me, like all of us, we could get pregnant at any given time and have to be out to care for that baby. And it was too great of a risk, so, women just were largely not hired, or when they got married, they were quickly out of the workforce. These are also people oh yeah. And then when you got into a marriage, because there was such a stigma against women, you had to stay in the marriage. And so now you're indebted to your husband because you can't do anything without money. And your husband then can,
Treat
doesn't
you.
have to monitor his anger or, emotions or, whatever, because you're essentially trapped with him. It also puts less pressure on the workforce. I don't have to deal with competing with all of these women. They're all knocked out of the way. It makes it a lot easier for me to just, slide right in there and have the job I want. These are also people who are very concerned at the dwindling numbers in the churches. And what we see is that smarter people are less religious. The countries that are more religious have lower, like they rank lower in education, which makes people more superstitious. And we see this just even within our country too. And if we knock out all the social safety nets, and if we minimize education, then people would be more superstitious. They will come into our churches. They will give us
Yes.
money. This is multifaceted. It's
Yeah.
not, and nobody cares about the babies. Nobody cares
Exactly.
about the women, not the people who are making these laws, not the people who are funding these laws. These are people who are paying doctors to go into congressional hearings and lie about
Yeah.
what the science actually says. There's a
Exactly.
lot of shit going down here that's working against us, and it's not the
Yeah.
truth.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I was looking at the chat, and one of the people in chat, AR, said it perfect. Perfection. It's like the right wants people to suffer, so you work harder for little pay. Desperate is good.
Yeah.
Desperation is good for people to run to the churches too.
Yep.
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 Absolutely. Well,
Yep.
I will share that I had an abortion when I was still in high school, and I did so because I was in an abusive relationship. And uh, what's interesting is that he came from a very religious family, Southern Baptist, which is what I was at the time as well. And they didn't believe in. I'm sorry, my dog is just having a hissy fit, but I can't do anything about it. So
It's okay.
um, every time he's quiet up until I start on the shows. Anyway, um, so you're not supposed to have sex before marriage, but
Yeah.
the man is also the man has dominion over the woman,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
so I didn't have a choice in the matter to have sex. I didn't have a choice in the matter to get pregnant, and I knew that this would be my life. And so going against
Mm-hmm.
what my religion said, I went and had the abortion to save my life.
Yeah.
I really felt like it was a question of life or death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the the thing that traumatized me the most was not the abortion. It was not even the bad relationship. It was the way the church treated me. And
Mhm.
I felt guilty because of that. And I went to a Christian support group for women who had had abortions. That was awful. That was truly,
Oh,
truly awful.
What happened?
Well, we went once a week for probably, what was it, 14 weeks or something like that. We had a workbook, a Christian
Mm,
workbook that we went by. And it
yeah.
was basically us trying to atone for our sin,
oh,
and that we had real work we had to do because we had murdered, and we had gone against God. So
whoa.
we even had activities that we had to do, such as one of them was when in some countries, whenever a family member dies and you live close to the water, you make like a little boat type thing with a little candle in it, and you have it go off into the
Hmm.
water with the candle
Mhm,
going. It was
mhm.
like that, but it was to honor the life of the unborn that we killed, and we had to
Oh,
name the unborn and have
oh, that is so horrible.
kind of a ceremony, a funeral type ceremony. But all of it was about how basically how terrible and horrible we were. We committed one of the gravest sins, and that we needed to
Yes.
spend the rest of our life making up for it. Um,
Wow.
I mean, people who like kill like other adults don't have to go through this in Christianity. Oh my
mhm.
God.
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
And the thing is that even in the US, when, like I said, you guys and the US have a safety net. Imagine how it was in Mexico
Mm.
when you don't have a safety net. You don't
Right.
work, you don't eat. That's it.
Yeah.
There is no help for coming from anybody. There is no programs. There was nothing. So there is a lot of desperate people that will do anything
Right.
to get an abortion, and that was the cause of many horror stories in Mexico until recently that it was been now
Yes.
it's not
Congrats,
illegal. Yeah.
Mexico. So
Yeah.
proud. No, I'm so proud of Mexico for, and part of me was wondering, I'm like, did the United States have anything to do with that? I mean, because you can't just like, take a day trip anymore. It's heartbreaking. And
Yeah.
I feel so bad. I mean, there's so many stories of teenagers who were raped and couldn't get their abortion, and women who like almost died to get their abortion. And it's really going to have to take like I think like in Ireland, a woman died, but it can't just be like like it couldn't be me, right? Like I'm too dark to die and have the whole nation care. It would really have to
Unfortunately,
be,
you are true. That's exactly right.
Yes.
In our country, you have to be, an upper class white
yeah.
person for anyone to
Yeah, you have
care
to be
that you
Natalie
are.
Holloway. Natalie Holiday came back and couldn't get her abortion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a tragedy that is. Now we
And
must march.
that is the sad part about all these laws that are being created. That all the people that are actually creating the laws, they know they are never gonna get affected by them. Not them, not their kids, not their families at all. Because what is gonna happen that if one of their children, one of their girls gets in trouble for saying it in some way, they just go to another place where they can afford a really good doctor to do it, and that's it.
Yep.
That's it.
They wouldn't even have to go anywhere.
Yeah.
They would just have someone come to their house. You
Yes.
know,
Mhm.
they they have the ability to circumvent, and we see right now that they don't. A lot of those that are in that camp. I won't say who that is politically, but what I will say is those who are the most vociferous about these particular laws, they really don't think that the law pertains to them anyway, regardless of
Yeah.
what it's about. It
Right.
pertains to all of those people. And frankly, it's really designed to keep the masses
Yeah.
focused on something else. You know, if
Yep.
you are struggling, if you don't have the ability, if you don't have bodily autonomy, you don't have any real rights. I mean, really, you don't. You are a
Yeah.
second class citizen, if you can even call it that.
Right.
But if you are so focused on just trying to survive, you know, then you're not going to be focused on trying to make the world a better place or on looking at the power structure in
Exactly.
America or anything else. So
You know,
really
or
what they're
just
trying
asking
to
for
do
more
is
rights, you know.
Yeah.
We might actually try to
Exactly.
take money away from the profits of, you know, the medical industry and asking for, you know, um, Medicare, Medicare, Medicare for all, God, you know, or,
Yes.
you know, dropping our prescriptions in half. We may actually want to unionize more workplaces. We may actually want to have universal daycare or, have our taxes pay for, less corporate bailouts and more, what do you call it, community colleges. It
Mhm.
Yes.
when people aren't focused on, those basic, when you think of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I'm just
Mhm.
thinking about food, where I'm going to
Shelter.
sleep, like, things like that. Like, you don't have time
Yes.
to think about, your other rights that are being infringed upon.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
that is what they're trying to do. And I really wish people would, the rich don't care about the abortion issue because it keeps us fighting. But
Yeah.
for all the other issues, whether it's not black versus white, it's not trans or LGBT versus non, it's not, any of this other stuff. It just is always rich versus poor. It is always rich versus poor. And when you get into the minutia of these little things like this, we're arguing against our own interest. We need to remember that the issue is never the issue.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh my
Exactly.
gosh, you're so right. I just
Hmm.
immediately thought of the proletariats and the bourgeoisie and, you know, the
Yes. Yes.
revolution and just all of those things. We've been fighting it forever.
Yes.
Forever. We
Yeah.
keep on fighting it.
Yes. We're gonna keep fighting until we unite, and
But I think
I don't know.
there is one thing they got right regarding the abortion thing by making them like their flag is
Hmm.
because it's a low effort issue. Like
Hmm.
if you
Mm,
are like
mm,
a pro-life person, all you have to do is go and vote. That's it. You don't have to do anything else. And now you think that you're a saint that have saved thousands and thousands of babies, but you don't really have to think about all the repercussions for everybody else.
mhm. Oh my
Because
gosh, that's
every
so
time that
right.
they are asked, what if you adopt all those kids? Me? Are you serious?
Right.
No.
Right, exactly. Really quickly, we're at the halfway point, and I want to let everyone know that we are having a fundraiser this month because we want to become a 501c3 nonprofit to be able to be a safe place for atheists, for those who are deconverting. We want to be a safe place for women, for trans, other LGBTQIA plus. We want to be that safe haven. And so, if you would like to help support us, please participate in our fundraiser. And if Wes would, if you could run our ad.
Join us for our Halloween special, a fundraiser to help Skeptic Haven become a charity organization.
Skeptic Haven provides a healthy community and safe space to its members. In addition, producing shows that provide informative videos highlighting science, religion, and current events, both domestic and abroad. Please join us the evening of October 28th for our first Halloween fundraiser to get funds for our 501c3 and other expenses. We have many well-known YouTube content creators coming on. Come join in the fun.
Are you ready for the show?
Yay, I can't wait. It's going to be so much fun. We're just super excited. We have so many really cool people, cool people coming on. So yeah, we're going to be partying pretty. Anyway, so Alma, you were before we went on this short little break. You were talking. Could you kind of give a little bit about what you were saying again remind everybody, because it was so
Oh,
important, and I want to kind of move on from that.
okay, yeah. And there I was saying that being pro-life is a kind of low effort position, as all you have to do is just like they will tell you, oh, you just have to vote for this guy and that guy, and they're going to put all these uh, laws uh, to annoy these horrible people that are against your God and everything that you believe in. And that's it. That's all you have to do. Just go and vote. You don't have to do like any actual work. You don't have to help anybody. You don't have to care for anybody. You just have to go and do whatever you're told. And that's it.
Just get up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The other thing that I was thinking though is that the way that the right has co-opted religion to kind of marry the two
Yeah.
has
Mhm.
created a great way to have a base that will not question.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because how can you go against your pastor or your
Mhm.
preacher or your whatever?
It's not even
Your
that. It's against your God. They believe that Democrats are of the devil.
Mm-hmm.
A vote for a Dem is a vote for Satan. You will go to hell for all eternity if you vote for a Democrat. It gives the right carte blanche permission to do whatever they want.
Mhm.
They can vote for
Exactly.
their own best. They can vote against their own best interest forever. And you can complain, and at best, all you can do is move them out for someone else who hasn't done what they did, but would if they had had the opportunity.
Right,
I mean, you
absolutely.
can't do more than primary them. Like they're all lockstep, and it is. Yeah, you're right. It's insanely frustrating,
It
and
is.
a
Yeah,
politician's
it
dream.
is. It is, and it's just that there is a great abortion is a great flag just to get funds, to get votes, get people to just go against and everything that they need. Like example, they're saying, "Oh, this candidate is going to mess up the school system, but who cares? He's anti-abortion, so let's just vote for the
Mhm.
guy."
Right, absolutely. So in Florida, DeSantis had first signed a bill into law about the 15-week abortion ban. That was how it started.
Hmm.
And then it moved to 6 week, and a lot of other states have moved to the 6 week abortion
Hmm.
ban. So, what is the problem with, as women, we know this. What is the problem with a 6 week abortion ban? Why is that? It's bad enough 15, honestly. But you get to
Hmm.
6 week, why is that such a problem?
Because at that time you don't even know that you're pregnant.
Exactly. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, and you're not 6 weeks pregnant. you know, you talk to most OBGYNs, and they're not doing ultrasounds or anything like that at 6 weeks. Like you're
Right.
at best just now testing positive on a stick. When you pee on a stick and you're starting to get the lines.
Yeah.
Like that's at best that you can do, because 6 weeks pregnant isn't 6 weeks pregnant. It's 6 weeks from your last period. 2
Exactly.
weeks from your last period,
Mm.
you may or may not even be pregnant at that point. So to say, I mean, it's something that doctors use, but it's not fair to use in legislation at all.
Exactly. Because not everybody is the same. A lot of people that don't get like their periods in like a clockwork.
That's
Sometimes
right.
Yeah.
they get a period 1 month and pass another 3 months and they don't see it. And and how are they going to know if they are even pregnant?
That's right. I mean, frankly, there have been
Yeah.
people who
And I
haven't
know
even
so
known
many
they're
women
pregnant
who
until they have a baby right there.
Yeah,
And
there
that's
is a
weird.
show about
I
that.
saw that show.
Things happen.
There is a show that
No,
where
but
people
I
doesn't
mean,
know they're
give
pregnant.
me a type of birth control, and I will give you the name of a woman who got pregnant on it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Not having a period, and we're all just constantly stressed out, constantly, and especially if you have other kids at home, and you're not thinking about if you're on like the pill or Depo or whatever, you're not thinking, oh, I missed a period. Like you're thinking you're covered, and
Mhm.
periods are not regular. They're not. They're just
Well, on
Yeah.
Depo, you don't
not.
even have
And
a period
to
anymore.
Yes.
yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. So yeah, full disclaimer. I conceived my son, but I was on Depo. I'd been on Depo for 10
Oh,
years and I was
yes.
acting wonky, and I was just spotting every freaking day. And so I thought my body, it didn't occur to me that it wasn't working. I just thought that, maybe I need to switch up, because you have to do that too, um, with a lot of things. So like I, and by the time I went to the doctor, it's just like, hey, I can't stop spotting. It's like, oh, guess what?
Guess
So
what?
it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm spotted and pregnant. So like they had to figure out how far along I was, sorry, based on like they measure, because I didn't know. I didn't have a last
Right.
period.
Hmm.
It like there are just so
And
many reasons why
there's a
we
lot
need
of
to
things
leave
that,
medical stuff to doctors.
Yep.
yeah, there is a lot of stuff that even as an adult women we don't even know. Like example, I until like I think 4 years ago, I didn't know that if you even change the brand or there is a change of brand on the prescription that you have for contraceptives for the pill, you don't get full protection for like 2 weeks or so.
Or longer. Yeah, you're
Hmm.
right.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. Or even with vasectomies, I think they still tell you to use a condom or some other
Hmm.
form of birth control for the first like two to 4 weeks.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's also
Um,
this thing
it
where when a woman is on a form of birth control, it is a hormonal, it introduces hormones into your system. I don't know exactly the word I'm trying to find. Anyway,
yes.
Hmm.
but um,
No, yeah, it does do
it
that.
can impact women in very negative ways. It's
Hmm.
just
Yeah.
like any other medication. A lot of
Hmm.
times you have to go through different things to get to the right dosage, the right type, the right
Yes,
brand, all of those things. And
Hmm.
here's the thing, they were trying to come up with a male contraceptive pill.
they
And
did.
guess what? Men didn't want it. They
Yeah.
said it made them feel weird, or
No,
they
it
didn't
gave
want to
them
have
the
the
same
ability.
symptoms. It gave them the
Right,
same
Yeah.
symptoms that we get on birth control, and that was too much. God
right.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh
forbid.
no,
I'd
poor
rather
baby.
just get her pregnant.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, come on now. It's we know what the real deal is. I mean, really, we do. We see it every day. We see
Yeah.
it in every aspect of our life.
Yeah. Just by
That
misogyny.
yes, the
Yep.
blatant or covert misogyny that we experience every day. We see it. I mean, even in my profession, I'm the executive director of a nonprofit, and I work in partnership with a lot of other major professionals like the district attorney and the sheriff and so forth. And one of the, I won't name who it is, but one of the directors of one of the main agencies, who is a man, he always treated me like I was a little girl.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
I understand.
I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
and if I would
I had
come
that.
to him with
Yeah.
an issue that I have, it's like you just, oh, why do I have to deal with these women
Yeah.
thing, this drama from
Yeah. Why do we let women work?
exactly.
Why do we still let women work?
It's
Still working. Why are you still here?
Yeah.
exactly. And it's like
A man would never have a problem.
right,
He would never come to me for advice.
exactly.
Just women.
And so, if we can't even be on the same level as a man professionally,
Yeah.
how are we supposed to be able to stand up and speak about our bodies? They don't want to hear about our bodies. They don't want to hear about our periods. They don't want to
Yeah.
hear about our menopause. They don't want to hear about premenstrual syndrome or cramping or any of the other things we have to deal with. Let's just keep
Right.
them in the kitchen pregnant and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
quiet. They need to be quiet.
Yes. Quiet,
Yes.
especially
Like
the
like the
quiet
children. You
with the
you go
children.
take the children and you all be quiet over there while the men do
Whatever.
yeah,
Yep.
Right.
the whole running of the country because it's clearly too hard for the women to do.
Absolutely. Hashtag not all men. I want everyone to know we are not men haters.
Usually. What kind of man are you though?
Yeah.
It depends on the man.
Right.
No, I do. And no, there's been no successful movement that has not included a white man. It just does. It could
Yeah.
not exist.
That's right.
I am very grateful to men, but and we need you in this fight. And I say this to everybody, regardless of what the issue is. We need you in every fight. And I'm so glad to see so many men in the audience on Skeptic Haven, on my channel. I think on my channel is exclusively men. And I've been talking about a lot of girly issues. So I want to applaud the men in my chat, Balls of Steel. I know I'm talking about a lot of
Yay.
things that men don't want to hear about. But we need you. And men and women, we get socialized differently. We think about things differently. And it's not a brain issue, it's a socialization issue.
Mhm.
I know how to talk to other women. When the women aren't coming around, I'm your girl. I'm the one who can go to the woman and be like, look, don't get your tits in a knot. Like this is what's happening. And I'm comfortable with that. But when I have to go to the male side, I don't know what the words are where it's going to click, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so we really need a lot of men listening to us, empathizing with us, because abortion is not just a woman's issue. I mean, it's a woman's health issue, but it affects men too. Men are having these conversations with their wives and girlfriends about what they want to do with their families.
Mhm.
Yeah.
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 And we can't tell all the men to sit down. What I need is men standing up, understanding the issue, and talking to other men, smacking them upside the head and saying, hey, we need to listen to the women because
This affects you
this,
too.
and because this is the only thing that relates to people, men and women. This relates to you too.
Right.
Here's how.
Yeah.
And here's how you get it across. So yeah, men, thank you for being here. We love you. Mwah, mwah, mwah.
I have to share AR. We've been sharing AR a lot today. That's okay though. I thought this was pretty funny. He said he still tests himself yearly after his vasectomy because his biggest fear is a miracle and Jesus reverses his vasectomy. I just thought that was great.
Yeah.
I love it. Same, really.
Right.
I remember that one time when somebody told me, "Well, it's a gift from God." And I said, "Well, if it's a gift, I'm going to send it back."
Yeah. Sorry. Oh, well, so there was something else I wanted to say about the abortion issue before we go too far. One of the things that is really big, I know in my state, they just recently went crazy on abortion as well. And one thing that was talked about was eugenics. They said,
Oh.
they didn't, they explicitly put in there, you can't have an abortion at any time whatsoever if it's because you don't like the gender. Well, the ban is, I think it's 6 weeks here. It might be 12 weeks. I can't remember. I can't remember exactly. Anyway, but you wouldn't know that anyway. at that point. So it's
Right.
just not going to happen.
Right.
But also, they specifically mentioned Down syndrome. You can't have an abortion if you are if your child is diagnosed with
Yeah.
Down syndrome. Here's my
Right. Because if you have a baby, you should want to be burdened for the rest of your life.
right. Here's the thing.
And I'm not saying, I'm sure a lot of people have like Down syndrome family members, but it is a lifetime commitment, and it's very time consuming. And I mean, I don't want to euthanize like, carte blanche children that are born
That's
with.
not what we're saying, but
Yeah, and that's not what I'm saying. But again, it is a personal issue between two people who know what their resources are. It's none of our business.
Right.
yes.
I mean, I will say that I would not be able to afford having a special needs child. I think
Right.
if I didn't know and figure out a way to make it work if or if something happens after they're born. But if you know something and I think about
Mhm.
a couple who is barely making it and
Mhm.
one small thing and they're living out of their car. They
Yeah.
cannot. They just do not have the resources for a special needs child. And so if you say, well,
Yeah.
they could give it, give it up for adoption. Again, as I said earlier, we have way too many kids in the
Waiting.
system. And then you talk about I'm sorry,
Mhm.
a special needs child.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm
And
saying?
when I was
Mhm.
living in the U.S., I had a roommate. She was at the time pregnant, and that's the reason why I became roommates, because we both of us, I already had my kid, and she was pregnant, so none of us could afford a rent of our own place. So the fact that she ended up having the baby, and the baby was okay, but has like a little birth defect where I think there's a club foot. I don't know how it's
Mhm.
called. I think
Mhm.
that's the name. And because of that, she wasn't able to work. She had to go on food stamps,
Mhm.
and people are very rude when you are using those. Remember,
Yeah.
I'm going with her to the store, and people just looking us up and down, saying, "Ah, this freeloaders again."
Yeah. You
Yeah.
don't want to work. You just want to, which I think it's a bad rap. And I get into arguments with people like no other animal has to work. Like wanting to
Yeah.
work, like it's not an, it's not a thing. Nobody wants to work. Um, but the thing is, my son, he was on the spectrum. He wasn't completely autistic, but he I had 2 days off a month from
Hmm.
appointments, taking him to counselors, doctors, something. It was insanely time consuming. And his primary social worker told me that she wasn't um, she wasn't happy with his progress, and that I needed to be home more, and that I should look to start trying to get on SSI to and then just working, maybe 4 hours or so during the school day, and then being home with him because he was at this is when he was younger. So I would drop him off from a daycare. They would take him to school. They'd pick him up, and then I would get him from there. I was going to calls from school. I was going to calls from the daycare. It was insane. And she just didn't understand why I couldn't have him there. She's like, "Well, you just get on SSI." I'm like, I actually want a
It's
career.
not
Like, I
fun.
like working. I like talking to
Yeah.
adults. I don't mind being productive. Yeah, and that's how I am. But like, and I'm in a very blue state. It probably would have taken me 6 months to a year to get it, but I could have gotten it. And maybe that makes me a horrible mom. I don't know. But we
No.
worked it out.
Mm-mm.
And but I wanted to work, and I wanted to be a mother, and that was the life I chose, and we got through it. And he's in college right now. He's pursuing an IT degree, and he's never been in jail. He's, still taking his meds, and I don't have to sleep with one eye open anymore. It,
Mm-hmm.
but that came with a lot of work, and I put in a lot of effort, and I can't tell someone else that they have to make my
My
decision.
decisions.
And that wasn't even bad. I mean, it was really time consuming, but I mean, it's nothing. It's nothing like having a child born addicted. Like even as if I adopt a child with special needs, if they have fetal alcohol syndrome, Down syndrome, if they are like really, if they have actual autism, there's just so many things out there where it's requiring someone to take that on.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's immoral to me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess you could consider my son special needs in a sense. He's almost completely deaf. He wears hearing aids. And when we didn't know that he was hearing impaired until he was almost in the first grade, he had a horrible kindergarten, and the teacher didn't give a crap. But it was when he was at the beginning of first grade when we found out. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and he ended up having several other health issues. My ex-husband had been in the Persian Gulf War, so we suspect it was the Persian Gulf War syndrome that a lot of men came back with from the medications that they just put into their system. Like you didn't have a choice; they were kind of testing on the military. But anyway, at that point, I was in school. I was in college trying to get my education. There's a reason that my ex is my ex. Let me just say that. I was on some assistance, but especially my son. We had Medicaid for the kids, and it, just with that, I did not have a social worker telling me I needed to stay at home more with him like you did. But it was a lot. We were going to the doctor a lot. He was hospitalized several times.
Yeah.
One of
Yep.
his things is severe
Same.
asthma. And so I spent a lot of time at the children's hospital. Um, I would never have been able to afford that if it hadn't have been for Medicaid. And they're
Yeah.
stripping Medicaid everywhere, all across this
Yeah.
country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when we talk about the
Yep.
reason we're talking about this in the context of the subject is that it's important. If we
Mhm.
take these rights away, if we say that women cannot have abortions, and then we also take away those things that help, like Medicaid, you
Mm-hmm.
know, or even food stamps or WIC, what we are saying is that we want you to gestate a baby, pop that booger out,
Mhm.
and then y'all can all go screw off. We don't give a crap. That is
Yeah.
what
Exactly.
they are saying.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That is what they are saying.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I'm
But it's
saying.
all the implication, like I was saying earlier, all the implications that come from that. They focusing on white women having white babies, and that what I've heard said is that the others will kind of work themselves out, meaning there's a huge mortality rate and infant mortality rate. Well, maternal mortality rate and infant mortality rate in the Black community. Hispanics are catching up.
Yep.
But then there's also a huge incarceration rate, and they're relying a lot on inmates to be more or less free workers, or the slaves that our Constitution says they can be,
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
over paying workers fair
Mm-hmm.
wages. So yeah, it when you take away bodily autonomy, put people in horrible situations, yeah, you
Yeah.
get a world catered to the rich where everybody's
Exactly.
you know, desperate and don't know enough to assert their rights.
Right.
Yeah. And like I said before, because I was coming from a country that had an abortion ban, like a total one, I was able to see the horror stories that come from that. I remember a case of some young girl that she got pregnant, and she ended up having a miscarriage about, I think she was 4 months into the pregnancy. But then one of her neighbors said, well, maybe she did something. And that was enough for her to go to jail. And she was in jail for 2 years.
Where
That
was
is
that?
that is oh my gosh, that drives me up the wall. How
Wait, where
dangerous.
was that?
Oh,
Like, where
sorry.
was that, in Mexico or was that in the
Yeah, in
US?
Mexico. Hmm.
Okay. Yeah, no, I've heard about those laws. And I didn't know that the similar laws were going on even before Roe was struck down. There were states that would,
Yeah, they will put you
if
in
a
jail.
woman went to the hospital and had a miscarriage, and the baby came back with like traces of anything, any kind of drug, women were being locked up for murder or child neglect, or I can't remember. Depending on the state, there are different things that, but I mean, just doing like real time because like they were a drug addict. And if you know I haven't worked in a drug treatment facility. It's just known that women have a lower low than men because to get out, because women can always sell their bodies for drugs, and usually that's an avenue that's not afforded to most men. And so it's not uncommon for either of them to have a baby that's born addicted, or for the baby to or for them to miscarry. And that it's not intentional. It's just I don't know, but I mean,
Yeah, and
I
her
know a lot
case,
of people were fighting the U.S. laws because there's no reason that states can't track, and come after women, because apparently we already are.
in her
Right.
case, she didn't do anything. It was just a
Yeah,
neighbor that said that she might have done something, and not
right.
even the
No,
neighbor
no
knew.
one, no one's ever done anything except try to get health care for themselves.
Right.
We
Yeah.
have to go through all this, and I don't know. It's like kind of like you were saying, if you don't laugh, you cry.
Say that one more time.
I'm sorry, Sunny. I said, like, nobody's ever done anything except try to get health care for
Yes.
themselves and do what's best for them and their
Yeah.
family.
Hmm.
There's not a lot of instances of drunken sluts um, getting pregnant and having an abortion
It was
because,
fun.
Right. Exactly.
fuck that kid. And if they did, I champion that decision because I would not want a baby born to that mother. I don't
Exactly.
know why this is like a thing.
Hmm.
Yeah. Isn't it interesting though that men can go around and get how many women pregnant? They can get so many women pregnant in one night if they wanted to. I mean, women can have one baby every
Hmm.
9 months.
Per year. Yeah.
So where's the
Yeah, how
problem?
many men were in that class they made you take? How many men were in that class they made you take?
None. Isn't that something? None. Not one.
I am shocked. Shocked.
Yep.
Oh, crazy. Oh my gosh. Oh, um, you know, there's also the thing that gets kind of passed around are these ridiculous solutions, such as put an aspirin between your knees. You guys remember hearing that one?
I
Ah,
never heard that
The
one.
the politician
What?
said that gosh, it's been a while now, but he said
it's basically
it
close your legs.
yes, it's close your legs. If you don't want to get pregnant, put an aspirin between your knees. Hold it, Then there was the other politician who said they were talking about rape,
Hmm.
as far as being a reason for an abortion. And he said, well, your body has a way of shutting that whole thing down. Like your
Yeah.
body
I
will
remember
not
that.
accept a pregnancy if you're in trauma.
If it is no, it said if the rape is legit. I don't
Right.
know what that means, but it said
Yeah,
if
whatever
it's
that
legit.
means.
Whatever that
Whatever that
Yeah.
means.
means. It's Republican speak for I don't give a fuck.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's exactly
You know,
right.
Yes.
it's like,
Basically.
and I'm sorry, I don't know if I can cuss here, but I'm known to drop an F bomb here or there, so I'll try to clean it up.
We are
But I
well
mean, it's as
past
bad
like the
as
first like 3
Governor
minutes or
Abbott.
whatever. So
But it's as bad as Governor Abbott saying, when asked, what are you going to do if, about all these women being raped? It's like, well, we'll lock up more men. Wait, it's just so many reasons why that's a bad idea. Oh, wait, that was a bad statement to that question. But it's just like, wait, you have the ability to lock up more rapists, and you're just not because there's not this law. Is that where we're starting with?
right.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, okay, he got the law. Nothing changed.
Hmm.
No one believed it would. It was, you know,
Right. Well,
they just say anything at all to get out of the question and pass the law because they're being paid off.
right. You also have men who never believe that a woman's been, sexually assaulted. There's a reason that women don't come forward. If we say
Yeah.
that we have an
Mhm.
exception for abortion for incest or rape, then tell me how we're going to prove that. How are we going to prove it? Because
Yeah.
it's very difficult to prove it anyway. And even if you have some type of evidence, it's most often circumstantial. What I mean by that is there's usually only two people present
Yeah.
during that. So
Right.
even if you have things like body fluids and all of that, you've had a kit done and all of that, it's still circumstantial.
Prove it wasn't consensual.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's always I almost said a he said, she said, but really it's a one person said, the other person said, because, rape can go, there's male victims of rape, and transgender has a huge amount of, they're almost targeted for rape. That's not the word I was looking for, but they have a higher incident of rape, excuse me. But there's a reason that people don't come forward. They're often vilified. They're vilified in their community. They're vilified in the news. People don't believe them. There's no way that this upstanding young Christian man could have done that. I'm just using that as an example, but
I mean, because every time a woman wants to be famous, she just
accuse somebody of
screams rape, and
I
that always
remember-
works.
I don't know if you guys remember this guy who was in university. I think he was like a swimmer or something. That he did abuse of one woman in the university, and people were saying, "Oh, but he's so good. He's a good student. Has a nice record swimming. Are you gonna ruin his life for 15 minutes of action?"
Right.
Like that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yep. There was not long ago, I can't remember the details. The only thing I remember is that there was a recording. I think there was three boys involved. They had videotaped it. It was obvious that it was non-consensual sexual assault. And they were still saying something along those lines that, well, it was, they didn't, it got out of hand. They had been drinking too much, or, why should we, destroy these poor kids, their boys, I keep saying kids, these poor boys' lives. Well, what about her life? Or the one guy who he assaulted that one girl, and he had a defense that he suffered from basically rich white boy syndrome.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember that one?
The affluenza kid? Yeah.
Yeah, affluenza. Yes, that was it.
I did not hear that one.
Oh,
Rich
that
white
was
boy
more.
syndrome. And that got him out of.
And he got away with it because of
Wow.
affluencia or whatever the heck it was. How
Yeah,
ridiculous.
it was never told consequences, so he cannot be held responsible for his actions.
Right. And now, once again, he's not held responsible, so he still hasn't learned a damn thing.
Like,
Now other
ignorance
people.
of the law is no defense. Oh, I'm sorry. That only works for poor
Right.
people.
Yeah.
It's just, that's the thing. This topic, it brings up so many other topics. It's like peeling the
Yes.
layers of an onion away.
Yeah.
You can't just
Yeah.
say, this is my stance on this issue, because if you do, you're also saying this is my stance on all these other issues.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And and the bottom line is, if a woman does not have, or I should say, if anyone who has a uterus and can give birth, I need to really say that, if they do not have the ability to make a decision for what happens to their body, then they
Mhm.
don't have any real rights at all. And we see that. We see that
Yes.
every
Right.
day. And so we are either going
Right.
to stand up for the rights of everyone to have bodily autonomy, or we are going to start deciding who has rights and who doesn't. That's never a good thing. Never a good thing
It
for
could be
anyone.
the start of a very, and I don't like slippery slope arguments either, but w- I mean, it's very clear that they're trying to do this, like who gets a right to decide what's best for them and when. And they're starting with childbearing people, but we also see this in the trans community.
Mhm.
If I wanted to have a boob job, I could walk into a doctor's office, maybe not tomorrow, it's Sunday, but Monday they'll be open. And I don't need a referral. I don't need a whole year of fucking therapy. I can
Mm.
there's nothing wrong with my tits. I'm in a D cup. I want them bigger. And I'm not trans. So here's some cash. Hook me up. They'll say, yes, ma'am.
Mhm.
I have friends that don't have that privilege.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because reasons.
Exactly.
And it's not just this. It is so many other things. And when everybody gets rights, everybody gets the same rights, and nobody ever never gets rights. There's no one gets left out. And I don't care what your moral stance is on an issue. When people stop getting rights, it will embolden whatever group is coming after them to go after the very next thing.
Mm-hmm.
There will be a
Yes.
point when there was no
Mhm.
one left to fight for you.
Mm-hmm.
Do it
Mhm.
with us.
Yep. Oh, that's
Exactly.
such a great point. We have
Yep.
gone 10 minutes over, but I am so
Right?
glad we did,
Shutting
because
up.
what you said, Maya, I think is the greatest way to sum up this issue. So having those minutes to be able to get you to say that was fantastic. I just want to give you like a standing ovation. You are exactly right. It's so true. It may be somebody else today. It's going to be you tomorrow. It will. It absolutely will. I want to thank
It will.
both of you for coming on today
Thanks for
and
inviting
talking
me.
about this. I want to thank our live chat, because there's been some interesting conversations going.
Love the live
Yeah.
chat.
Oh,
Love every
there's been it's been spicy today.
single
It's
one
been a
of
little
them.
spicy, and that means it's a good show, right?
Yeah.
Yes. I think so, but I'm a little biased.
Absolutely, I am too. I am too. So before we go, I wanted to give thank you to our patrons, Fern Love Bowden. I hope I said that right. Sydney Davis Jr., Erica Zoles, Ryan, Deneen Murphy, Dan D, Michael Wiseman, Kathy Cotton, Cindy Plaza, Sunny Shell, Aaron Colson, Phil Calderon, and Amanda McLeod. I want to say that every day that we get more and more of those, one of these days, it's going to take us a half hour to like read that out. I can't wait for that day. Thank you guys so much. What you do helps us to do the great work that we're doing. You don't have to be a patron if you don't want to. You can always just like, subscribe, hit the bell, all those good things. They help the algorithms and they support the channel in its own way. But if you can and you would like to, we would love for you to support us. And if you do want to support us by being a patron, you can go to patreon.com/Skeptic Haven. And we have all kinds of other shows as well. So we have Secular Soapbox on Wednesdays, Thursdays. You can come visit me on the Sunny Spot. Saturdays, we have the Global Atheist. And then, of course, Women Atheist Unload. And on Sundays, we have Let's Talk. And I'm really excited about that because I love talking to people. I have a hard time shutting up. So come and see me on Let's Talk on those particular Sundays that I'm there. Do you guys have any final comments before we wrap up?
No, come visit me. I'll be on tomorrow night, 9:30 Eastern, at Maya Adkison on all of the things. Tomorrow we're doing Bad Science Sunday. Hope to see you guys all there.
Fantastic. Alma?
Well, thank you so much for inviting me once again. And if you speak Spanish, please go to Nuestra Experiencia Tea. We have a show tomorrow. And thank you.
Absolutely. And thank all of you again. We really appreciate it. As I always say on the Sunny Spot, remember, think critically. Bye, everyone.
I know you told your friend you're not okay. And tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away, as you fade away.
Yeah, I'm about to fade away, 'cause every time I wake up I feel like it's Monday. Something's going wrong